Hello friends, welcome to Head or Tail Education. Today our topic is inheritance. What is the inheritance in C++? So first we will discuss single inheritance in this tutorial. So first we understand what is the definition of inheritance. So inheritance is a process by writing a new class from base class, and we can give access directly all properties and methods from base class without writing base class code. Types of inheritance is single, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical, and hybrid. Okay, so 5 types of inheritance is available. So first we check about the what is the single inheritance. So this is the base class. Suppose this is a base class, the name is A, and in this base class we have some properties and methods. Okay, so by using this base class I have derived the class B because I want to access all the properties and method from base class, and this is our additional property and method inside we have in class B. Okay, so this is the inheritance property. Inheritance means we inherit all the properties and method in our new derived class B. Okay, so we understand this example. So suppose the class A, we have the property A1, property A2, and we have a method M1 and method M2. So this class is a base class and functions and properties. So I have derived the class B. Okay, and in this B class we have property B1 and method F1 and F2. Okay, so this is my additional method, and in the base class A we have already methods M1 M2, so I can use. Okay, so this is the way is called the inheritance. Okay, and if a class A is base class and I have derived the class B only one, so this is called the single inheritance. So single inheritance definitions is a class is permitted to inherit one new class only is called single inheritance. Understand the access control in inheritance. Okay, so what is the access control and how can use? So access control in inheritance is a how much access we have properties and methods of base class is decided by the keyword public, protected, and private access specifiers. Okay, so the public keyword, all public members of the base class is accessed by derived class. Okay, if we have defined by public keyword. Protected keyword, all protected members of the base class is accessed by derived class. So this is the same for this, but no members is outside of the class we can use. Okay, and the final is private keyword. Okay, so no access by derived class means no, if any property and methods we have private keyword, so we cannot access in the derived class. So for example, So same example, so if base class is A and I have derived the class B from base, okay, so we have one private property, so property name is A1, another we have protected, so properties defined I have A2, okay, and one keyword method is defined by publicly, okay, in base class A. Now the same in derived class B, okay, so in this derived class B we have the private property the B1 and we have public method F1 in this derived class B, okay. Suppose I have created a object of class A, okay, and I want to access A.A1. So because A1 is private, so is not accessible outside of class protected property A2, okay, so A.A2 is also a protected property, so this is not available outside the class, okay, and the public method M1, this is the public, so A.M1 is public, this is accessible for this class A, okay. Now the derived class property, so I have created here object B, okay, of derived class B, so I want to access B.A1, not able to access because the A1 is the private property of base class, or B.A2 is also same, not accessible, this is also protected property of base class A, okay, so not access outside of class. Next we have B.B1, okay, so this is the private property of class B which is derived from base class A, so this is not accessible of outside of class. Here B.M1, okay, so M1 is public property of base class, so this is accessible outside of class, okay, inside the main function or any other function. Now next B.F1, so B.F1 is public function, so this is also used outside of class, okay. Now here you have seen the A2 property, this is the protected keyword using in base class A, okay, but this property is available in the derived class B inside this function like A2 assigns value, so this is available, so every protected member or property is available in the derived class but not outside of class, okay. So this is the access control in inheritance. So this is access allowed inside derived class, the A2 value property, okay. Now we check a simple example of single inheritance example, okay. So this example is related to simple interest formula, okay. So we have here simple interest formula, so P equal to principal amount, R equal to rate per year, T equal to time, and SI means simple interest equal to P into R into T divide 100, okay. So on this basis I have created here class header file and using namespace std, so class name is simple interest. Here I have commented the private keyword, okay, because you know according to our previous slide private keyword using any private property and member function is not access in derived class. Okay, so I have commented here and using the keyword protected. Okay, so inside this protected I have created three variables. First two variables is type of float, the name is rate and amount, and third variable type of integer is name is time in months. Okay, time in months means I am not using directly year, I am inside the parameter in months. Okay, so now next is the public keyword. So public keyword, this is a constructor simple interest. So by default I have assigned rate equals to time of months equal to amount equal to 0, initialized by 0, and also three argument constructor simple interest. I am using the float underscore amount, float underscore yearly rate, okay, and comma int underscore time in months. Next, each value I have assigned in these variables. Now our function calculate simple interest, const character pointer lone for. Okay, so this is the message I have printing, and the here I have create one float variable interest amount. Okay, so just I am using interest amount equals to amount is multiplied by rate is multiplied by time in months and divide by 100. Okay, but here also I have converted the time in months in year, so I have divided by 12, so 100 into 12 equal to 1200. Okay, so you don't need to confuse. So I have converted time in months by year. Okay, so after that I have printing everything. So this is the base class means. Okay, so the base class name is according to our diagram class simple interest. Now I have next derived from this derived class which name is compound interest. Okay, so this is on next slide. So first we create the compound interest class. So first we check the what is the formula of compound interest. So same like P equal to principal amount, rate R equal to rate per year, T equal to time, and compound interest formula equal to P is multiplied by 1 plus R divided 100 of power T then minus P. Okay, so this is the formula of compound interest. Now I have created here class compound interest, but this class is derived from public simple interest class. Okay, now because you know in previous slide I have created three variables rate, time in months and amount, and using the keyword protected, so this is access in the derived class variable, so I have default values assigned to 0. Next, the constructor three argument constructor passing the variables float amount, float yearly rate, int, and float time in months. Okay, so this is the variables. Okay, next I have using the above formula to calculate the compound interest. Okay, so our function name is calculate yearly. First function name is calculate yearly compound interest. So all of the same, but only I am using the formula is changed. Okay, so float variable I have created interest amount time in year equals to time in months divide 12. Okay, so it's convert months into year. Now rate equal to 1 plus R divide 100. Okay, so this is rate assigns. Okay, then interest amount equals to amount is multiplied by POW means power function. So rate is comma and time in year. Okay, now interest amount equal to interest amount minus amount. Okay, so this is principal amount is multiplied by 1 plus r divided 100 of power t and minus p. So this is here using. Okay, next the statement cout is for printing the amount, rate and interest. Okay, so this is calculated by yearly interest. Now next one more function I have created. So calculate interest, compound interest half yearly. Okay, so all we have same in this function, only I have created the time in half year. So equal to time in months divide 6, means if we have 1 year, so means 12 months. So if I divide it by 6, so we have 2 half years in 1 year. Okay, so like this. Now the rate also half rate, because here we have passing the rate yearly. So suppose we have passing rate 10% yearly, so half yearly rate, the rate divide 2. Okay, so 5%. Same, h rate equal to 1 plus h rate divide 100. Next, interest amount equal to amount is multiplied by power function h rate in comma time in half year. Okay, so interest amount equal to interest amount minus amount. Next statement is cout for printing loan for message, principal amount, interest rate per year, compound interest half yearly, interest amount and the amount with interest. So full. So next, now this is our the derived class is finished here. Okay, now using both the class in the main function. Okay, so this is the main function is by default written is integer. The system cls class means clear screen background. So first you have seen here I have created the variable si bike, means simple interest for bike. So class name is simple interest si variable bike and passing the value. So 24,000, this is the principal amount, 9% rate yearly and for 24 months, means for 2 year. Okay, now simple interest underscore bike dot calculate simple interest and passing the bike value, means so loan is taken for bike. Next, check what is the compound interest of yearly. So in this time I have created the object compound interest ci underscore bike. So same values I have passed, amount 24,000, 9% rate yearly and 24 months. Now compound interest underscore bike dot calculate yearly bike, compound interest half yearly. Okay, so next again I one more created variable compound interest ci half yearly bike. Okay, value I have passed same 24,000, 9% yearly and 24. So compound interest half yearly bike dot calculate half yearly interest bike. So this function means if you execute this program, so output show the value of compound interest, simple interest and run. Okay, so we check the demo of this program. Okay, so hello friends, so this is the code which I have mentioned in our previous slide. So this is the simple interest class, so passing the created protected variable. Okay, so if I commented the protected keyword and use the private keyword, so check if I compiled here, so error is come. What error is showing? So float simple interest rate is private property, so all variables are private, is not accessible in derived class. So derived class is giving error, so that's why I have again comment here and uncommented protected keyword. Okay, so yes, now next time again I have compiled for this, so this is no error, error 0, error warning. Okay, So this is the use of the keyword. Now public functions means constructor I have created, simple interest constructor with three arguments I have created. Now simple interest function calculate calculate simple interest function. Okay, same in slide. Now this is our base class simple interest and this is our derived class compound interest. Same constructor, zero argument, default value 0 of the base class variables, and compound interest, three argument constructor, assign the value. Now calculate interest yearly. So this is loan for same functions. Okay, and again this is half yearly for this. So this is here. Now this is our main function. So simple interest object simple SI bike, then compound interest object CI bike for yearly, and then half yearly compound interest object. Okay, now it's time to run for this project to run. So you have seen here the first we call the object to simple interest for bike. So interest amount is 4320. Okay, for 9% rate and 1 year, sorry, 2 year 24 months. Okay, so total amount 28,320. Okay, so next this is the compound interest. Okay, compound interest variables for yearly calculate. So if we calculate the same amount 24,000 for 9% according to compound interest, so we have the interest 4,514.4. okay, so this is the amount with interest 28,514.4. okay, now if we calculate the interest half yearly with same amount, so our interest, so amount is 24,000, rate is 9%, and compound interest half yearly is 4,620.44. okay, so if we add this, so 28,620.4. okay, so this is the result of this code. So in this code I have using the inheritance. So this is our base class for simple inheritance and this is our functions for derived class. Okay, today our topic is inheritance, and inside inheritance we have the type multi-level inheritance in C++. First we check the definition, what is the inheritance. So inheritance is a process by writing a new class from base class, and we can access directly all properties and methods from base class without writing base class code. Types of inheritance is single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and hybrid inheritance. So in this tutorial we discuss what is multi-level inheritance. So in this diagram we have a base class which name is A, and again I derive from base class which name is B, and again I derive the class C. This is derived from class B, so B is again the base class of C. So this is the inheritance or multi-level inheritance. So in this base class we have a property A1, A2 and method M1. Okay, in class A. In derived class B I have update my class, the create one more new property B1 and add two methods f1 and f2. Okay, so again we need some more functionality. So I again derive a class from B. So I give the name class C and add the property C1 and method FC1 and FC2. So I have giving additional functionality and property to class C. So this is called the inheritance. Okay, so the main class is base class A, then again derive the class B, and then again derive the class C. So this is the inheritance. Okay, multi-level inheritance. So if you need one more functionality, so you can derive class C to D. Okay, so C is become a base class for D. So, but it's all totally depends on your needs. So definition of multi-level inheritance is a class is permitted to inherit new class from base class, then again inherit from derived class is called multi-level inheritance. Okay, so first we check the access control in inheritance. What is the access control and how can we control the access? So access control inheritance, how much access we have, properties and method of base class is decided by public, protected and private access specifiers. So you know already what is the public access specifiers means. All public members of the base class is accessed by derived class. Okay, meaning of protected, all protected members of the base class is accessed by derived class, and the private no access by derived class. Okay, so we check again. So suppose we have a class A, this is the base class, and I derived class B from class A. Okay, so in this class A we have one private property and protected property. Okay, and one is method function is publicly derived. Okay, so this is the A class belongs to all members and methods. So in A class we have private, protected and public access specifiers. Okay, now next I have a derived class. So this is the base derived from base class A. I create a private property, new property B1 and one public method inside this class B. Okay, so suppose I created a object of class A. Okay, so A object, and I want to access the property A1 and A2 outside of class. So A1 dot, so A dot A1 and A dot A2. So because these both properties private and protected, so we cannot access outside of class. Here one method is publicly available, so I can call A dot M1 publicly outside the class. Okay, next I derive class, I have created the object of class B. Okay, so I want to access the base class property A1 or A2. So base class property is private and protected, so is not available outside of class, so I can't access. Okay, again I have created the private property in B and I want to access the outside of class, so B dot B1 is not accessible. Okay, now the method M1 I can access outside of class from the object of B. Okay, so B dot M1 is available outside of class. Now one method function F1 is also B dot F1 also available outside the class because this is the accessifier here is the public. Okay, so but the protected member A2 you can access in derived class. Okay, because the protected property is allowed to access in derived class, so we can change well or any protected member function or any protected property from class A in access in class B. Okay, so this is allow access. Now check the multi-level inheritance example. So how we can create multi-level inheritance? So first we understand a simple formula of simple interest formula. So here P equal to principal amount, R equal to rate per year, and T equal to time, and simple interest variable SI equal to P is multiplied by R is multiplied by T and divided by 100. Okay, so in this diagram I am creating the multi-level inheritance. So our first base class name is simple interest. Okay, now next I derived from base class, so again the another class name is compound interest. Okay, now again I derived the class from compound interest, its name is class interest. Okay, so we have the here level 1 and level 2. Okay, so this is called multi-level inheritance. So we discuss the class. So I include the header files iostream and cmath using namespace std for standard input output, and the class name is simple interest. Okay, here I have commented the private access specifier because I want to access the variables or method from base class to derived class. Okay, so that's why I am using the protected access specifier. So here I have created variables float, rate and amount, and type of integer, time in months. Okay, in publicly I have created constructor simple interest, so by default all variables value equals to 0, and 3 argument constructor, so any value custom value we can assign in these variables. Okay, now according to our formula of simple interest I have created here one function to calculate simple interest. This function receives the const character pointer string. Okay, so lon for const character pointer. Here created variables float interest amount, so interest amount equals to amount is multiplied by rate multiplied by time in months. Okay, and divide by 1200, because I have converted time in months into year, that's why I am divide by 12. Okay, so please do not confuse. Again the next statement is cout is printing for message and calculate values of simple interest. So this is the first base class which name is simple interest. Now because we need this class is not fulfill of my requirement, so I have created compound class. Okay, compound interest class. So compound interest class, the rule of value formula is P equal to principal amount, R equal to rate per year, T equal to time, and compound interest CI equal to P is multiplied by 1 plus R by 100 of power T minus P. Okay, so you have seen here I have derived from this class simple interest. Okay, so simple interest is base class and compound interest is my class. Okay, derived class. So here I have not created any variable because in previous class I have defined the protected access specifier in variables. Okay, so that's why I can access the variables of base class. So compound interest default value 0 constructor. Okay, and compound interest constructor, so 3 argument constructor passing the custom value in my variables. Okay, so according to our formula I created calculate compound interest yearly. Okay, so all have the same, only here plot interest amount time in year. Okay, so we have the month, so I divided by month 12, convert into year. Okay, and rate equal to 1 plus rate divided by 100. Okay, so this is solution. So interest amount equal to amount is multiplied by power function is used, CMath class. So power function, so rate and the time in year. Okay, now interest amount equals to interest amount minus amount. Okay, and next the C out for printing output of result of this class. Okay, so this is the yearly calculated compound interest. So next I have again one more function I created, the calculated compound interest half yearly. Okay, so all functions, methods, variables have same, only here I have convert time in half year equals to time in months divide 6, means if you pass the 1 year, so 1 year in total months equal to 12 and 12 divided by 6, so how many half years in 1 year? 2 half years is available. Okay, now the rate is passing yearly, so in half year what is the rate? So rate divide 2, means if you pass 10% per year, so rate divide 2 means 10 divide 2 equal to 5%. Okay, now next h rate equals to 1 plus h rate divide 100. Okay, so half rate, and then next interest amount equal to amount is multiplied by power, half rate means h rate comma and power of half year. Okay, so interest amount equal to interest amount minus amount. So next this is the printing output known for amount rate per year and compound interest half yearly and the total interest with the amount. Okay, so this is, I have added two new functions in our compound interest class. Okay, and derived from base class. So we have three functions, so we can, if we create the object of compound interest, so we can call simple interest function also, calculate half yearly or yearly compound interest also. Now we comes again the next level, because I am creating here multi-level inheritance. So in both previous two class, means simple interest class and compound interest class, I have not custom input by user from keyboard. So here I have created again one class which name is interest, is derived from public compound interest class. Okay, and only one function I have created, void input data. Okay, so this is function asking from user, means principal amount, rate per year and time in months. So this class is used for this purpose. Okay, so here I have complete my multi-level inheritance. So first class is simple interest, second derived class is compound interest, and again third derived class from compound interest is interest. Okay, now check next slide. So this is the main function I am calling here multi-level inheritance. So here I have created interest object. Okay, class interest object which name is calculate interest. Okay, and first we ask to user calculate interest input data. Okay, so if we call this function, so we asking the user to input data like enter principal amount this, enter interest rate this, and enter time in months. Okay, next statement calculate interest. Okay, so calculate simple interest, this function is calling from main base class simple interest. Okay, next the both function calculate compound interest is calling for compound interest class. So calculate interest, calculate yearly bike, or calculate half yearly bike. Okay, so this is very good benefit for this, because if we change again the input value, we call calculate the input function and call again the calculate simple interest and yearly function. So here we can create only one object of our class. which name is L1. So if you run this program, so output is this. Okay, so the first is called from base class function. Okay, so simple interest is calculated for this, and second is called for compound interest. This is the yearly value of compound interest, and third is called from calculate half yearly compound interest from compound interest class. So this is the multi-level inheritance example. Now we check the demo of this program. Okay, so this is our code which I mentioned already in slide. Okay, so header file included using namespace. This is our base class. First is simple interest class. So here I have created protected and public. I can show you what is the effect of the private access specifier. So just I uncommented private and commented protected. Okay, now I save the program and compile. So you have seen already here, so the float simple interest rate is private, so this is giving the error. So again I have commented this and uncommented protected access specifier. Now save and execute. First compile, we check error remove for this or not. So error is removed, so access specifier is working. So simple interest to constructor 0 argument and 3 argument. Okay, so this is first simple interest calculate function. Now I have derived the compound interest class from simple interest. Okay, and here I have created compound interest constructor, assign default 0 value, and compound interest floating value. Okay, calculate yearly and calculate half yearly. Okay, so this is the, now finally I have created here one more class interest from compound interest. So this is the input data and this is our function. Okay, so now I run the class, means run the program. So according to input value 24,000, rate of interest 9%, and 24 months. Okay, so this is the output of this class. Okay, today our topic is multiple inheritance in C++. So first we understand the definition of inheritance. So inheritance is a process by writing a new class from base class, and we can access directly all properties and methods from base class without writing base class code. Types of inheritance is single, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical, and hybrid. What is multiple inheritance? Okay, so in these slides you have seen we have two class, base class. So first base class is A and second base class is B, and both base class we are using a derived class C. So the class C is derived from base class A and B. So base class have different property and method. Also the C class have different property and methods. So definition of multiple inheritance is a class is permitted to inherit new class by using multiple base class is called multiple inheritance. Join channel for more tutorials. Access control in inheritance. So access control in inheritance, how much access we have properties and methods of base class is decided by public, protected and private access specifiers. So public, all public members of the base class is accessed by derived class. Okay, if protected, all protected members of the base class is accessed by derived class. Private, no access by derived class. So in this diagram we have two base class A and base class B, and derived class is C, so derived from both class A and B. So the property of base class A is property A1, property A2 and method M1, and derived class the property B1 and methods F1 and F2, and the C class we have the private property C1 and public method FC1 and FC2. So if we create the object of class C, okay, then C dot A1 or C dot A2 is not accessible. Also same like C dot B1 is not accessible because the both properties have private keyword using. Okay, so both properties protected by private keyword, so this is not accessible. Now C dot M1, so C dot M1 function is accessible because here we are using the public keyword. Okay, now C dot F1 is also usable because the in class B the property F1 method is publicly accessible, and C dot C1, so C dot C1 is private property for class C, so this is not accessible, but C dot FC1 function is publicly accessible. Now the property here you have seen in the class C diagram, the method FC2 function is using the property A2 to assign value. So here we have seen I have created the property A2 is using the keyword protected. So protected members are accessible in derived class. Okay. Join channel for more tutorials. We taking the multiple inheritance example. So in this class structure diagram, so we have the four base class. The first class 8 num2, this is minus 2 num, this is multiply 2 num, this is, and divide 2 num, this. For all using the four base class created one class which name is calculator. This is the derived class. Okay, so these four classes are very simple, no very big complex coding. So using the header files on top, then using the namespace, now create class. Now public one function I have created add, and passing two parameters n1 and n2 type of int, and just I print the message n1 plus n2 equal to whatever result we have. Okay, same like the minus class, passing the parameters n1 and n2, the function name is this time is minus, and see out the result. Now third is multiply by 2 num, so this is the base class and passing two numbers integer n1 and n2, and the print of n1 is multiplied by n2. Now divide two class, so divide int n1 n2, and if here I am checking n1 is n2 greater than, then we divide, otherwise we show the error. Here this is the example is continue. So here I have class created calculator, so all the calculator functions add two nums, add two minus 2 nums and multiply 2 nums and divide 2 nums is 4 classes. This is the multiple inheritance I'm using, and derived one class calculator. Okay, here I am using the keyword protected. You know this, I am here keyword using the protected means in this class every function and property is accessed in protected. So and the using the protected keyword, so because I am deriving the class calculator from all, so we can access all property. Okay, but so on the outside we cannot use the add to num function outside of class. Okay, from by using the calculator object. So here the keyword private, so I have created two integer type of variables. So constructor default value is assigned 0. Now one methods I have created publicly, so my input, so enter two number. Now next I have created one more method which name is calculate. So here I am asking the choice from the users, so whatever you want to plus, minus, multiply or divide, so passing the choice, and according to choice I am passing the case. So case, if the choice is plus, so call the add two number. If minus is called subtract from two number. Is multiply, small x or capital X is used for multiply, and slash is divide for two number. Okay, so this is very simple, not a big logic in this class, but only I am explaining to you how to use multiple inheritance in code. Now this is the main function. Okay, so here I am creating the main function, so only I have created the calculator class object CLC. Okay, so first time I am calling the input two number function, so calc dot my input and calc dot calculate. So here I am passing the choice plus. Okay, so if you run the program, the output like this. So suppose this run program, so I am calling my input, enter two numbers, so I input the two number 23 and 67. So first time I have choice is plus, so this is the plus of result. Okay, next time again I am inputting the number 67 23, so this time my choice is minus, so this is the 67 minus 23 minus. Okay, third time again I input the number 44 and 11, and third time my choice is x, means multiply, so this is the result of multiply, and last time enter two number and my choice is divide, so this is the result of divide. So this is the use of multiple inheritance in coding. Okay, so next we check the demo for same. So this is our code which I show in our tutorial. So here header file I have included all class add num, minus 2 num, multiply 2 num, divide 2 num. Okay, now this is the calculator class, and this is derived all the classes from by using the keyword protected. Okay, so all classes are protected inside this, because the divide function not, I don't want to access outside of calculator. Okay, so what, which function is inside outside of calculator I am using? This is input and this is calculate. Okay, so this is the same for this. Now this is the main function. Now this time compile the code, so code is compiling. Okay, zero errors, warning, zero. Now run the example. Now as per our screen, means I have entered 23 60, sorry 67. Okay, or here I have choice first time plus, so this is the result. Next time 67 23, so this time my choice is minus, so this is the again result. Now third time again my choice is like this. Now this time my result multiply, so this is the result. And last time I have input 4 divide 11. Okay, so this time I using the divide and output is like this. Okay, so this is the demo for multiple inheritance. Join channel for more tutorials. Today our topic is hierarchical inheritance in C++. So first we understand what is the definition of inheritance. So inheritance is a process by writing a new class from base class, and we can access directly all properties and methods from base class without writing base class code. Types of inheritance is single, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical, and hybrid. So today we are discussing the hierarchical inheritance. So suppose we have a one class name is A. Then we derived two more class from class A. So new derived class is class B and class C. Then again derive class B1 and B2 from class B, and one more class C1 is derived from class C. Now next again we derived class X and class Y from class C1. So this type of structure of inheritance is called hierarchical inheritance. So definition is hierarchical inheritance is multiple classes is inherited from one class is called hierarchical inheritance. Join channel for more tutorials. Now what is the access control in inheritance? So access control in inheritance is how much access we have properties and methods of base class is decided by public, protected and private access specifiers. Public, all public members of the base class is accessed by derived class. Protected, all protected members of the base class is accessed by derived class. And private, no access by derived class. And inside the main. So here we have the base class A and two derived class B and C. Base class A, the private property A1 and protected property A2 and public method M1, and derived class B, private property B1, public method F1 and F2, and derived class C, private property C1 and method FC1 and FC2 is public. Okay, so here inside the main function I have created one object of class C. Okay, so and I want to access the property C dot A1. So this is not accessible because this is the private property, or C dot A2 is also not accessible because this is the protected property of class A. Now next C dot M1. So C dot M1 is the public method function of class A. So this is accessible inside the main. Now C dot C1. again. So c dot c1 is the private property of class C, so this is not accessible in the main. Now c dot fc1, so c dot fc1 is the public method, so this is allowed to access inside the main. One more property we have, the protected property a2. So here you have seen the inside the class C, this is the property a2 is accessible because this is the protected property. So according to our statement, the protected property, all protected members of the base class is accessed by derived class. Okay, so this is the access control in inheritance. So this is the example of hierarchical inheritance example. So in this example I have created the base class interest, and second derived class is simple interest and compound interest. So this is very simple, you know already how to calculate the simple interest and compound interest. So the class, here I have included the header files using namespace std and create the class interest. So protected, so float created members variable float rate and amount, and integer time in months. Now one method I have created publicly to read from user, so name is input data. So this function is used to read principal amount, interest rate per year, and time in months. Okay, next you know already, here I have mentioned the simple interest formula. So in this class the principal amount P, okay, and the rate per year equal to R and T equal to time. So simple interest equal to P is multiplied by R is multiplied by T divided by 100, and compound interest is P equal to principal amount, R equal to rate per year, and T equal to time, and CI equal to means compound interest equal to P is multiplied by bracket 1 plus R divided 100 of power of T and minus P. So this is the compound interest. So both formula we will use in this, in both derived class. So class simple interest is derived from interest publicly. So in this class we have all public. So public zero argument constructor, rate, time and months, default value equal to 0. Now this is the simple interest, again 3 argument constructor, so passing value directly from constructor and assign to variables. Now one public method calculate simple interest. Okay, so here one passing, so interest for, so const character loan for, float interest amount, okay, variable, and interest amount equal to, I using this formula, amount is multiplied by rate is multiplied by time in months and divided by 1200. Okay, now next this is the all the see out the message and calculate all the values. Okay, so this is the, because here I am passing month, okay, your duration is months, so I divide by, convert to yearly, so divide by 12. Okay, so no need to confusion of this. Next one more class, the compound interest is also derived from interest class. Okay, so in this class compound interest we have the zero argument constructor, all values equal to 0. Now same like 3 argument constructor compound interest, so passing the float amount and the float yearly rate and int time in months and assign the variables. Here I have created two public function. First, for calculate interest yearly, compound interest yearly. Okay, so this is the same float interest amount rate. So here I am the month is converted into the year. Okay, so divide by 12, then float rate equal to 1 plus bracket r divide 100 and interest amount. Okay, interest amount equal to amount in multiplied by power function underscore rate comma time in year. Okay, so this is very simple logic for this. And finally the interest amount equal to interest amount minus amount, and this is the cout message to show the user how much amount, how much rate and how much interest yearly. Okay, and amount with interest the same like the calculate the interest half yearly. So here same, now interest amount, so time in half year. Okay, so we know that the in 1 year how much half year, 2 half years means if we divide 12 months in 1 year and divide by 2, so 6 months is 1/2 year and next 6 months is 1/2 year. Okay, so same, that's why I am divided, I am, so convert time in half year, so divide by 6. Okay, again the float half year rate, so rate divided by 2 means if you pass the rate like 10% per year, so we divide by 2 means in half year we have 5%. Okay, then we calculate h rate equal to 1 plus h rate divided by 100. Okay, so value I assign. Interest amount, so amount is multiplied by power, this is all same, h rate is multiplied time in half year. Okay, so interest amount equal to interest amount minus amount, and this next is the cout to print the amount, rate and interest amount. Next now, so our hierarchical inheritance, so divide by means the hierarchical inheritance, the simple derived class simple interest and derived class compound interest. So I am using these both class in the main function. So system class. Okay, so main, in the main function, so clear screen for using system CLS and simple interest SI. I have created the object. So first we read the data simple interest dot input data and simple interest dot calculate simple interest, so passing for bike. Okay, next again I have created one more object compound interest CI and call the CI dot input data, so and call the function CI dot calculate interest half yearly. Okay, so this is, you have seen in this main function the input data of both class using the base class member function, and the simple interest dot calculate simple interest and compound interest dot calculate half yearly compound interest is used the derived class member function. So if you run this program and passing the value, so output is like this. Okay, now we check the demo for this. Okay, join channel for more tutorials. So this is the hierarchical inheritance example. So this is fully same the code which I display in the slide. So this is the interest class, and the simple interest class is derived from interest, and here this is the simple interest 0 argument and simple interest 3 argument constructor, and one public function calculate simple interest. Now next is the compound interest class, is also again derived from interest class. In this class we have 0 argument constructor compound interest and 3 argument constructor compound interest. Now in this class we have two functions, the calculate yearly one public function and the calculate half yearly, another public function. So in this both function in compound interest class. Now, so in main function, this is the CLS for clear screen, and here created the simple interest object. Name is SI. So SI dot input. So this is the base class function, and SI dot calculate simple interest. This is the derived class function. Same like compound interest, CI object I have created. So CI dot input class is the base class function I am calling, and CI dot calculate interest half yearly means this is the derived class function. Okay, now this is the run the program. So first we compile this. So program is compiled, no error, no, and run this program. Okay, now so according to our example, enter amount. Okay, so this is our principal amount. So rate is like 9% per year, and month like 24. So this is the output of this class, and again calculate the compound interest. So I using the same principal amount 24,000, rate 9%, and time in months 24 months. So this is the compound interest value. Okay, so this is for demo. Today our topic in C++ hybrid inheritance. So first we understand the simple definition of inheritance. So inheritance is a process by writing a new class from base class, and we can access directly all properties and method from base class without writing base class code. Types of inheritance is single, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical, and hybrid. So in this tutorial we will learn what is hybrid inheritance. So here we have two class A and class B. Then we derived class C from using the class A and class B. Again we use the class C and derived class D, and then finally we derived class F from using the class D and class E. So this type of inheritance is called hybrid inheritance because in the first level on top of level, I am using the multiple inheritance. In second level I am using the multi-level inheritance, and in third level bottom level I am using single inheritance. So means in full the class F is using multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and single inheritance. So this is the complete structure of class F is hybrid inheritance. So definition of hybrid inheritance is a class is inherited from more than one type of inheritance is called hybrid inheritance. For example, multiple plus single inheritance. Join channel for more tutorials. Now we learn the access control in inheritance. So access control in inheritance, and how much access we have properties and methods of base class is decided by public, protected, and private access specifiers. Public, the all public members of the base class is accessed by derived class. Protected, all protected members of the base class is accessed by derived class. Private, no access by derived class. So in this structure we have the two base class A and class B. Then using both class I derived the class C. So in class A we have the private member A1, protected member A2, and one public method M1. Same like in class B, we have the private property B1, public methods 2, F1 and F2. And using both class, I derived the class C. So in the C class, we have the one private property C1 and two public method FC1 and FC2. If I created the object of class C, so C.A1 or C.A2 is not accessible because these both properties are private and protected. Okay. Now in same like the class B, so C.B1 is also not accessible because this is the private property. Now C.M1 and C.F1, see both function M1 and F1 both are public property, so we can access. Now C.C1 is private property, so not accessible. Okay, and C.FC1 is a public function, so this is accessible. Now here you have seen the method FC2 is assign value A2 equals to value, any value. Okay, so A2 is the protected property of class A1 A, so this is accessible in the class. Okay, so this is the rule of the access control in inheritance. Now we take the example of hybrid inheritance. So according to our diagram, we are using the 4 base class: add 2num, minus 2num, multiply 2num, and divide 2num. All 4 base class is using and derive the one class is called calculator. Okay. Next, after using this calculator, I created two classes, circle area and triangle area. Now finally, using both class, I derived one class is called area. Okay, so this type of inheritance I am using in our example. So this is called hybrid inheritance. Okay, so it is very simple. So using include the header files, the namespace I am using, the first class name add 2nums means 2 numbers we have to add. So it is very simple. Create the class add 2num. Now access specifier is public, so create one public function void add passing 2 integers, and the output is printing both of integers sum. Okay, next like same class minus 2num, the public keyword using, and function name is minus, and this function output is n1 minus n2 means minus. Third one is multiply 2num, so this is again public function multiply and using n1 multiply by n2. Now finally is divide function, so passing integer n1 n2 and divide n1 by n2. Okay, so this is the 4 base class in our calculator. Okay, now next, so in this inheritance we have seen the top block is multiple inheritance, then second one is the hierarchical inheritance, and third one is again multiple inheritance. Join channel for more tutorials. So continue our code. So you have seen already we derived the 4 class base class add 2num, minus 2num, multiply 2num, divide 2num. Okay, now using 4 base class I am creating the one class calculator. So class calculator, and using the access specifier protected add 2num, protected minus 2num, protected multiply 2num, protected divide 2num. Okay, now here I have created two integer variables in by using the private access specifier. Now public functions, we have the one constructor calculator initialize both variables by default 0. Next we have one public function my input asking two number from users, and third one is the public function calculate. So he's asking the choice. According to choice, you have to call the function of base class. So if you are using the plus, then call plus add function, or if you are using multiply x or capital X, so call multiply function, then break. Next now finally we have only one class calculator. So according to our diagram, I created one class circle area and another one is triangle area. So circle area is public function void area, so it's asking the radius, okay, and calculating the printing as a output. Next for triangle area, so asking the triangle base and height from user and calculate the area of triangle. Okay, now final class name is area. So here I am using the class area, the protected circle area and protected triangle area. So here I have created two public functions called area circle and area triangle. Now next the circle area, because we have the class circle area, the function name is area. Also in triangle area the function name is area. So to separate call, because the compiler is confused which area we have to call, because two classes using in protected circle area and triangle area. So I am using here class name circle area, then colon operator and called area. So we call circle area function, same like triangle area colon area. So in this using we call the triangle area function. So all full structure is completed for here. Now calling using the main class main function. So inside the main I have created one object of class calculator. Then I am asking from user input two numbers and then calculate. Okay, now the calculator class is separate. Now here I am created the object class area. Okay, area. So area dot area circle and area dot area triangle. So this is the full code of hybrid example. Okay, now if you run this code like so, according to code, so calculator object calculator input two nums. So according to example I have inputted 23 and 67, then passing the choice plus, so value 23 plus 67 equal to 90. Okay, now here I have created the area class object. So area class object is asking the enter radius, circle area calling is, that's why I am using the enter radius. So radius, after that calculate the radius and answer is this. Next calling the triangle, so in triangle we pass the base and height, and this is the value is calculate the triangle area. Okay, next we check the demo of same. So this is the code. Here I have created four base class add num, okay, add two nums, minus two nums, multiply two nums, divide two nums. Okay, by using all four class, this is the base class of calculator. So I created the calculator class. Now constructor input nums and calculate the function according to choice. Okay, next the using the calculator class I created the two classes circle area and triangle area. Okay, so this is both. Next finally I am using the class area and use the both circle area and triangle area class. So in the area circle I am calling the function circle area colon area, and area triangle the triangle area colon area. Now the int Main function, calculate the circle object, sorry, calculator object calcs, and calling function input to number and calculate. Next, area and calling the function area circle and area triangle. Now we run the program. So first we compile this and run the program. So here I am inputting the two number 23 plus 67. Now choice is passing plus, then result is this. Now this time is calling the circle area function. Okay, now circle area function is radius, so I input the radius 3, so this is the result. And next is calling triangle area, so base I have passing 5 and height is passing 3, then result is this. Okay, finally we learn inheritance with demo. So inheritance is a process by writing a new class from base class, and we can access directly all properties and method from base class without writing base class code. Also we learned access control in inheritance, how much access we have properties and methods of base class is decided by public, protected and private keyword access specifier. Hope tutorial will help to understand inheritance in object-oriented programming C++. Thanks to watch Head or Tell Education.